Alicia Medlin here with 5 Elements of Wholeness. And I am so excited today to have Leta Greene here. Oh, I'm so excited to have her here. She is an international speaker, including 3 TED Talks, an author of 2 best-selling books. And Leta doesn't want you to be intimidated by her, but she is known as Hotness. At age 12, she won the Boy Scout arm wrestling competition. None of those boys ever asked her out, and Leta's majored in sign language and graduated with honors. Ironically, she is really good at not talking, which is kind of strange to me because I've never not heard her talk. So, Leta, thank you so much for coming today, and I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce the topic that we're going to talk about today.
Okay, well, you know, we're friends, and you reached out, and I'm like, you know, there's all these virtual opportunities right now. And so I'm like, how much more fun for people? They don't really typically want to raise their hand in the class and go, right. So I really struggle with not feeling confident. I mean, you know, so that people could privately submit some of their questions, and we could have a discussion on behalf of your friend, you know, people out there that anonymous. They can kind of tap it. Yeah, right. You know, kind of anonymously instead of just me speaking, so that I have literally like amount of content on this topic. I've studied it first for myself, and I became a confidence expert. And people say, well, how do you become a confidence expert? Well, that's one of the funny things. There is no classes. You just have to declare it. And if people believe you, boom, you are a confidence expert, right?
I love that.
And they're like, you know, how did you get to be Hotness? People started calling me Hotness, and I didn't see a problem with that. And boom, you know, there's confidence. The things we're talking about today are not things other people give you.
Right.
And if you only hear that is worth your price of admission. Well, actually it was free. So even more worth your the high quality
worth
of your
time.
The time, which is the biggest investment that most of the questions we've gotten are from women, and I know that's your audience mostly and my audience as well. So women, our time is of eternal importance. Don't question it just because people are like, oh, you don't work, you're just at home. You are raising little people. If that is, you have the blessing of being just at home, right. And not just as a minimizing, meaning just as that is all in your role that you're doing. Alicia and I, both for different circumstances, work, and here we are, but we are no more or no less than any other woman. We are all equal in the eyes of God and his awesome wife. We just have different purposes that we give. So don't minimize yourself because you don't have, because you didn't run an arm wrestling competition at 12. I mean, not everybody
exactly.
Can, No. Right. So, and I thought we did this more casually. I've been envying your background when we were doing our green room before. I need a background like that because I have literally one, but I thought we'd be more conversational. And so like, this is my office and I just happen to have these sitting here.
Just happened.
Yeah, no, I put those there. Okay, look, we'll even position it there so people are like, oh, what? No, I'm just teasing. So we're just gonna have fun. And Alicia has some questions and I have some things that I want to make sure we hit.
Yes.
So should I tell him that funny story?
Yes, go for it. I love it. And I know everybody's wondering how your whole experience is going with The Chosen.
Okay.
So, yes, please share.
Okay, well, I was thinking the first funny story, but yes, I will start with The Chosen story.
Well, that's a funny story too. So yeah, I will just let you go.
It's a little bit deeper. So we'll let him get used to us a little bit more before we go into that, because I'm new probably to your audience. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Leta Greene, and I have been posting me as a first century woman on set of the television series, The Chosen. And everyone that knows me is like, I didn't know you did film work. And I'm like, don't worry, you didn't miss anything because I have not done film work. Now, I have been a makeup artist.
I didn't know it till Friday.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't know it either. And I just, I love the series. I'm the shirt that says Binge Jesus. I'm just trying to figure out how many is really the issue. Like, can my whole family wear them together? Would they wear them? I don't even wear t-shirts.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, And we were on set yesterday, and I have the guy's number, and he's like, yeah, we were going to bring swag for the background. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until that shows up. But then they were like, okay, you guys are going. And I'm like, where's the merch? You know, so I have his number. I'm going to be calling him. But anyway, so I'm a makeup artist for 30 years. So I've been on the background of the camera, but I just do makeup that makes people look good. I don't like make people look bloody or dying or scary or anything like that. I just make you look good makeup. And so, you know, people have had
Well, I don't know. Your Halloween was kind of scary.
Well, that was me stretching myself.
Was that your
Yeah, but a lot of people were like, that's really skilled, but not scary.
That's funny.
But that was, I actually got a little like, oh, that's, you know, because I put red near my eyes. And
Right.
Look, guys, I'm a binge Jesus kind of girl. I just don't do scary. I don't watch her in the woods with Disney scared me. And it's really, really the last time. So anyway, I just don't like the feeling of being scared. I have a brother that's an addict, and I won't go into all those things because they're scary. And that just isn't an enjoyable sensation for me to tap all of those things, which will lead us to our second funny story.
There we go.
But anyway, back on this funny story. So a friend of mine posts that she's on it, and she's done several. She has an ethnic look. You know, she's Brazilian, so, you know, she can go for a lot of these different things. And she posted, and I was like, what is this feeling? I think it's called jealousy. Yes, it is. I am jealous. And one of the skills I'm going to teach you guys about is asking for things that you want in life. And I'm not talking about like just manifesting it, but how you do that, right? Because people are like, oh, I manifested. I'm like, you can manifest a lot of things, and you can have a lot of things happen to you in life that you did not manifest.
That's
right.
True.
Like my husband got hit by a bus. I did not manifest that, nor was I driving the bus when it happened.
Well, that's
so
good. That's
right.
Good.
We got to be clear on that. But anyway, asking for things you want in life. And I was just like, oh my crap, I am so jealous. So like 2 or 3 days later, she messages me and she's like, hey, do you still want to be on set for The Chosen? I'm like, did I not tell you I was jealous? Like, yes. And it's like 4:40 in the afternoon. She's like, if you can get here to this certain place by 5 and get a COVID test, there's 2 slots. My 2 kids didn't want to go and be in it because they were too cold. And I was like, I'm hotness. I have my own internal heater. I'm there. My son, who actually wants to do acting and modeling, who I've been on a couple of sets for him, as the mom, and I got offered jobs to be a PA, which is different than the medical physician's assistant. It's to be a production assistant, starting at like $8.40 an hour. And not to be a snob or anything, but I make a little bit more than $8.40. As I tell my kids, I make $12 a week. It's none of your business, right? But I was like, thanks. I kind of have a job, you know, being Leta Greene. But anyway, so I ran, we got the COVID test, came back negative as I knew it would. And I got to be there at 7:30, an hour away. I'm not a morning person. And it's a 12-hour day planned. And they're not like, oh, it might be a 12-hour day. It's a 12-hour day. And then they're like, hey, you're still energetic, speaking to me. Do you want to stay a little bit? And I was like, Jesus is going to be there? You know, and I didn't say that. I was just like, yeah. And I was like, and my daughter and my friend, and, you know, just kind of they grabbed about 11 of us, and we did a night scene. And I walked past a Roman guard, you know, so people are like, I can't wait to see you. I'm like, I don't want to build this up too much, because there's one point where I walk by the camera, and there's one point where I'm standing in line, and evidently Jesus gets behind me. So Jesus follows me. No, that sounds sacrilegious. You know, and there's one point where I'm walking back and forth of a window. I mean, I'm just creating movement. I'm not like the star of the show, right. But if you watch my social media, I'm like, here's my outfit today, and here's my outfit today, you know? So I got to be on 3 days, but it was so cool because I've been on sets as a makeup artist. And one of the reasons I don't like it is they're like, where's the, you know, and it's just this high stress, poopy words environment a lot of the times. And the moment I walk on set, they're like, thank you so much for being here. they treated me like I get treated when I'm the keynote speaker.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to post about this on social media, but it just made me love The Chosen all the more. Everybody go buy the DVD, support it. This is crowdfunded. It's only going to be able to happen. I want them to go on forever. I told them it needs to go on forever. I'm sure they're going to listen to me. I'm like, gave them ideas for spin-off stories. There's the book called The Old Testament. You guys need to be a part of this, right? So I'm just like, you've got to be in this. But there's a lot of lessons in this of how we do the little things. I love them more because of how they did the little things.
Yeah.
The same lesson is to us. It's confidence. Who we become is not the big grand gestures. It's the little itty bitty details of our lives. And people are like,
right.
Well, when am I going to see a result? Well, it depends how you refine those little itty details of your life. Well, no, I want something big to happen right now. Well, it's the little, and people are always saying this to me, but Leta, I want big, massive change. Well, the truth is our subconscious mind resists change. It is there to keep us. I don't know why I'm doing with my pencil. I just keep picking up my pencil, and people, right? That it's they want the big, massive change, but your brain is to keep us comfortable and will resist change. It will shut you down.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems maybe like when we first fall in love, so great, and then he does something annoying. If you got married real fast, that's a bad day, right? But you just found out that he's human, and congratulations, so are you, right?
Yeah.
And so what makes a great marriage is how it's the little details of those kind little words that go back and forth, that mutual respect, that communication, how you can work together. I always tell kids, don't date because they're good looking. I mean, obviously my husband dated me for my raw good looks. I'm joking. I am not the body type or the height or stature that he's typically gone for. But I was the girl that he was like, I've never met anything like that. And that is true.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what my husband said to me. He's like, I've never met anybody like you. I'm like, is that a good thing?
It's the little things. It's the little things, and the truth is when my husband met me, and I'm sure with you, Alicia, that you are going to echo this, that we had found out not everything about ourselves, but we were living in who we were.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so we were not trying to be like, oh, okay, I was pretending to be a butterfly for part of the night my husband met. You don't have to be weird to be authentic. Definitely not. But it definitely helps if you are not worried about the outside validation. And social media has made this so much worse. I'm likable because someone liked it. And this is starting with our kids, where true confidence has nothing to do with outside influence.
Right.
It's just a perk. If people like my post, well, I'm glad they like it. Right? That's great. But that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that was The Chosen. If you are jealous, you need to apply to be on The Chosen. They are saying they're going to come back next year. I do not have power to get you on. I wish I did. I'd pick all my friends. We'd all go and love Jesus, But if you want to have a role, you have to get an agent. And I do have an agent I recommend, but so that's the thing about The Chosen. So Alicia, I feel like I'm saying your name wrong.
No, you're saying it right, Alicia.
Okay. In the first century, we said it differently.
That's true. It was Elijah. So.
And there was an Elijah on set yesterday. So I apologize to everyone that yesterday I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning.
So where is that at?
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a biblical Jerusalem thing that they have set up. So there's a temple area, there's streets, there's a marketplace, there's a big, huge courtyard, and it's set up to be for filming. And they have leased it to The Chosen to let them use it. And it's out in a place called Goshen, Utah.
Oh my gosh, I know where that is.
Yeah, well, right. So I took Redwood Road for 55 minutes that way and out into the abyss of nowhere. And my minivan looks like it. Yeah. So that's where it was. So I got up at like 4:10, but I didn't have to do my makeup or my hair or anything because they were just going to spray dirt on me. Yeah. I'm like, I think I need to be doing ancient Israel makeup.
There you go.
Like way easier than what I'm doing. There was no eyeliner involved. Yeah.
Yes, nothing here.
Yeah, no, they literally were just having like mineral powder, which, people, I always think this is funny, but mineral powder, like it's mineral powder, it's natural. No, it's a ground up rock, guys. That's all it is. You're just motorboating a mountain and thinking it's going to be good for your skin. But anyway, I digress. This isn't about skincare, but they were literally just like batting dirt on you, mineral powder. And I'm like, well, you're just taking the rocks back to their natural form. So that was really all they did. And then kind of smudged it with baby wipes. I'm like, I think I got this.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been doing stuff a little bit more complicated.
That was so easy. It's just like,
I might figure out what I need to do to be a makeup artist for The Chosen. That could happen too. I don't really know.
That would be really cool too, huh?
But I do know something. I get to make my life what I want it to be. And that is not an accident. And it's a blessing. And I've created that opportunity in my life by the decisions I've made. So a little foreshadowing to some of the things we're talking about today. Okay, should I tell them the other funny story? Because it's a good contrast to this.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I love cats. And Alicia and I were talking, she's not a cat lover. And she has a traumatic story, but we won't trigger anyone who's like me that loves cats. I mean, I'm even wearing leopard and leopard. These are the glasses I chose to have leopard. So I am the crazy cat lady. And I'm on this page. I live in Daybreak, Utah, South Jordan, Utah, Daybreak community. And there's the cats of Daybreak. So just to let you know, I am among the crazy people of the crazy people, right? And somebody posts on there that there is this woman in our neighborhood who evidently lures cats in, brings lots of cats to the animal shelter. And she has traps, does food, traps these cats. And, knowing that when she turns them into the animal shelter, when she knows the cats, she knows their names. And so when she's calling them, this is what the animal control people are saying, that she knows who they are. They know who she is. So she's spending time with these cats, but she hates cats. So she's gathering the neighborhood cats, taking them to the animal shelter so that the owner has to pay $35 to get the cat out. Now, if you're a cat person, your first reaction is, how could this be? And we should protest people who hate cats. And maybe if I walk back and forth in front of her house, right? And I got to protect my cats. Well, Alicia and I were kind of joking that this is politics because this woman hates cats, but is choosing to spend a lot of time with cats.
Associating with them.
Now, Alicia doesn't love cats. Alicia and I can still be friends.
That's right. And I can just go, you know what? You are welcome to your cats. I'm so glad you like cats. More to you. And I'm going the other way.
So hypothetically, if I were a Biden supporter and Alicia were a Trump supporter or vice versa, we're not making any labels or any claims because we're not so stupid as to get all into politics and disrupt our brand. Because what's really important about who we are is what we do, not politics.
Exactly.
Right? I tell people you can either be a light or you can share about politics. Can't do both.
That's true.
So if we're anti something and we put all this effort into it, aren't we having to put all this time and focus to the end just get a bunch of cat hair on us?
Well, yeah. And it's just like, I love a comment that one of my mentors said. It's like, I'm not here to convince the critics. Like, that's what it is. When you're protesting and you're like trying to force somebody to believe a way that you're believing, all you're doing is spending time and effort to convince somebody what you believe. And what does that do? Like, that doesn't do anything. If you want to convince somebody what you believe, you live it, you act it, you behave it, you integrate it. You don't preach it and force it and push it and
I've been
condemn
sharing
others.
like, let's focus on what we have in common, which, you know, I
Right.
believe that we're all children of God. That's what we
Mhm.
have in common. And if, you know, diversity is wonderful. I mean, God made different colors of flowers, you know, he loves that, but he rains on all the flowers.
Yeah.
Right. You know,
And he freezes them too.
Yeah. There was a time in my life, like I mentioned, my husband getting hit by a bus, and then he had a massive heart attack and died and came back to life. And I was in a wheelchair, and then our daughter died. So people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. But all these events kind of exposed me to the world as kind of awesome. But that was not my intention. I was just trying to get through those events. And I said to one of my spiritual leaders, because it seemed like all of a sudden there were lots of crazy people in my life. There was like one lady that was demanding I give her my wheelchair because I was walking now. And she knew that if I gave her my wheelchair, that not only would she be able to walk again like me, and there was some other crazy stuff. Later, she ended up stripping her down to her underwear at the children's playground. So she might not have been mentally sane, but I did not know that she was going to be that revealing on the children's playground during school. But anyway, there was such a bunch of crazy people coming out. And I said to the spiritual leader of mine, I was like, what am I doing wrong to, you know, I didn't say attract because that wasn't wording of the time, but you know, to have all these people be around me. And they're like, when the wise man built his house on a rock and the other wise man, you know, built his house on the sand, did the rain fall on one or all? And I'm like, all. And he's like, yeah. And the more people you know, the more sand builders you'll meet.
That's true.
And I was just
that
like,
is so true.
What? You know, this was so profound to me because it was like, if you have bad things happen in your life, and if you know crazy people, the question is not why they're there, why this is there, to second guess yourself and be like, I can't believe this has happened. You're putting the focus all on the wrong thing. Or why is this person treating me this way? The real question is, how am I going to respond to it?
Yes. Exactly.
How am I going to deal with this? Now, if I'd gone up to the crazy lady and been like, you're freaking insane. You're, you know, like, do you see what's going to happen? No, she's crazy. She is not going to be empathetic or kind because I buried a kid. I cannot expect her to respond to me in a way that I want. I'm putting way too much power on other people. And simply by asking this question to my spiritual mentor of like, what am I doing wrong, was the wrong question. He's like, the rain falls on everybody. Life happens to everybody. And the more your influence grows, the more crazy people you're going to meet. If I know 10 people and all 10 of them are crazy, I'm crazy too. But if I know 10 people and one of them's crazy, I'm probably not crazy. Right? True. And if I know 100 people and one of them's crazy, man, I'm doing a good job at picking my peeps.
Yeah.
Right? So it's how we respond and what we choose. Do we choose to hate cats and go spend lots of time with cats?
Not me.
Right? If you hate cats, go get a dog.
Yeah. Spend
time. I discovered about 10 years ago that for my mental health, I used to live in DC. I lived in New Hampshire, which is very political. I have tons of friends in politics. I have literally friends from all walks of political, social, like everything, right? And I have friends with people with different opinions, all of that, because we respect each other. But because I knew like a friend who knew this president, blah, 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 I knew some insider stuff. Right? And I was like, I just need to, for my wholeness, call it my mental health. Then I just called it my wholeness. I needed to stop listening to politics as my talking to me throughout the day. Because I'm one of those people who I'm an extrovert, big shock. So I wake up in the morning and to get me going, I need something to talk to me. So I need some music, I need something going. So I switched to making that something spiritual. I know. less contention. I know.
Oh,
So,
I totally get it.
right. I changed that to something spiritual, and I listen to podcasts. Right now I'm listening to the History of Egypt podcast, and people are like, well, how's that helped in your business? I'm like, it doesn't. But I like learning about it, and it's uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to the History of the Crusades. That was a little disturbing, but it gave me a better sense of history and why humans have certain things they have. We get to choose what we expose ourselves to. And if you're not getting the day-to-day feelings in your life that you want, it's because you're exposing yourself to influences that are triggering different feelings in you. And feelings are very easy to change. Very easy.
They are.
Yeah.
And, as I've worked with lots of different women in different, levels and areas of their life, I have found that, not only are feelings something that they hide from or pretend they don't have, or that they think that it's some type of I don't know, voodoo, or it's bad to have feelings and I can't have feelings because then I can't be a mom and I can't be a wife. I can't have a business. It's like, oh my gosh, no, feelings are good. Feelings are very good.
Absolutely.
And it's just like what you said, it depends on how you react or respond to those feelings.
Right.
And responding to those feelings is paying attention to it, looking at it, going, okay, if I feel this way, why? What's triggering me? What do I get to do to change it? And like you said,
right.
you can
and
listen
it's
to
not
something.
Controlling the trigger.
Right. No, it's changing it. It's shifting the mindset so that it's
right.
like, oh, okay, I feel this. Now I know what I can do to move through this and get to the other side of it.
And I would recommend that people, I'm sure you have some kind of similar exercise, but when people are like, well, she makes me mad and she does this, I'm like, okay, there's some languaging there. But maybe write down do some journaling, figure out what those triggers are. And if there's something that, for me, like I said, I don't like scary things. It's probably never likely to change in my life. Mm-hmm. So I don't work at a horror factory. Right?
Don't watch scary movies. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't go to scary movies. Like when a scary preview comes up, guess what? Like, okay, this is dumb. Stranger Things. My family loved it. My husband says it's fine. The music scared me. So I went to my craft room and my family enjoyed this together and I sewed things. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't like, how dare you do this without me? I just didn't enjoy it. So knowing very specifically what are things that I don't like, and then asking myself, is this like holding me back in my life? Can I live a healthy, functional life not partaking in horror?
Exactly.
Yeah, I can. You could live a happy, functioning life not partaking in cats, right? You could live a happy, functioning life not consuming hours of politics.
Or
be
even
informed,
an hour.
investigate
or even 10
issues,
minutes.
vote, right? I'm not saying not to be civically involved, but I'm saying we don't need to be jamming our opinion down other people's throats. And if we notice that we're getting that feeling, it's really simple. There's the feelings of awesome and the feelings of he who is poopy. My second book is on overcoming sexual abuse, and we do a wonderful job of teaching our children to follow the feelings of light. But you know what? One of the ways that will protect them from a pedophile, from a peer abuser, from becoming a peer abuser, is how it feels. Mm-hmm. Those feelings from he who is stinky, he who is poopy. We all poop. We all have bad feelings. We all have negative feelings. We all have bad feelings about ourselves. We all have all of these things. The question is, what do you do with your poop? Do you go up and smear it on someone else? Because that's rude. And in days of COVID, I don't know, they'll probably make that a felony. I don't know, right? So what are we doing with that? And so I'm assessing if this is something that triggers me, can I go and live a life of just being like, hey, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. I don't like the F word. It's based in violent rape. I've investigated language too much. It's not a word I like. If somebody says it around me, I'm not like, how dare you say that word? That triggers me. Do you know what that word means? The other day somebody said, can I say the F word? And I was like, well, no, you've kind of just said it. And we all know what you're in. No, you don't, if you're asking my opinion, no. But typically it's other people who are saying, saying it around me without me even reacting. Like there's no physical facial expression saying, how dare you say that word? I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
When people say it, I just am like, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, oh, I've heard it before. But I choose not to partake in it.
Exactly.
Right? Now I can say hell and damn all day long because that's taking Satan's place of location in vain. Totally fine with me. Right? But I've decided what are my triggers. And then are these a trigger that's holding me back? And there have been triggers that I've had to overcome in my life that were holding me back. Like I'm worthless. Like I can't.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, I don't have confidence. Now people go, Leta, it's all, you've always been this way. No, I used to be suicidal as a child. My grandmother told me I was ugly. Nobody would love me. Everybody else kind of agreed with this. It was just a known fact that Leta was stupid. And it's true. Out of my 5 siblings, 4 of us were IQ tested. My one brother has a form of dyslexia, so he was not. Out of the 4 of us that were tested, I was the stupidest of all of my siblings. It's just a fact. But I was just stupid enough to make different choices in my life that 2 of them are addicts. I'm the only one of my siblings to have not married an abuser or become one. Kind of proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made little teeny changes in my life. Little teeny things, little teeny habits, which we hinted at earlier in this.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going through the day completely reacting, you're not creating habits.
Mm-mm.
And I think one of the things that's so amazing about our brains versus animal brains, yes, people say we're animals. However, we're the only animal that chooses who we mate with. At least some of us. Right? Most animals are mating off of I'm in heat. They're here, I'm here. Oh, they prance around nicely. And if you look at Hollywood, they're saying to pick your mate off of prancing around. How good looking are they? Where, my husband picked me off of, because I danced like a butterfly. So maybe that analogy is not working, but no, he picked me off of, who I was and the character and how I made him feel. And then we talked and my goals and our trajectories and all these communication things, that the reason they have drama movies is because they fell into bed before they ever figured out how to talk.
Exactly.
Because they operated on an instinct. They're good looking. I feel sexy. Let's make it happen. Right. We have the capacity in our brain to not be reactionary. And yet, what do? You're making me angry. Oh, I feel attracted to this. Blah, blah, blah. And we're doing all of this in the day. We're emotionally frayed because we have not been cognitive, using something that we are the only organism on the planet that has the ability to choose our reaction.
Right. Not being intentional.
Not being intentional. And the way to make those things a habit is to consciously choose them. Mm-hmm. Right? To consciously do that. I grew up in a home where there was a lot of yelling. And so I made a decision, viewing other homes, creating a mentor, right? I mean, that's what we called it. I called it the neighbor lady, but they call that being a mentor. I look and saw something different that I wanted. Mm-hmm. And I didn't just go, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to have that. I went, how does that happen?
How did you do that?
How is that created? What can I do? And I became a person who doesn't yell. That is not my fallback. But if life pushes me and I don't create any habits around that trigger, around that habit that was handed to me, I will absolutely become a reactionary being.
Right.
Right. And so by what do I want? Not just asking for it, right? But what does that look like? What does that feel like? What skills do they have that I don't have? Right? So with confidence, let me tell you guys the big secret. Every room I walk into, people are like, she's in charge. Every room. Everywhere I go, if it's at the grocery store, they're asking me what aisle it's on. If it's at a meeting of CEOs, they're like, think I'm the top CEO. Everywhere I go, I'm like this presence. And I, just like you, had to wake up that morning, put on my bra, put my deodorant on, brush my teeth, get ready, get prepared physically, mentally, and emotionally. I am not a morning person. I don't like getting up. And I have insecure thoughts, just like everyone. They don't ever go away. but I have a tool set around how I approach them.
Yes.
And I'm like, got my bra on, got my deodorant, brushed my teeth, look good. Okay, that's the physical. Okay, what about the mental? Am I prepared for what's happening today? Have I done the necessary work that I need to do? Okay, spiritually, did I get the sleep, the food, all of those things? And so when I show up, it's like, boom. Because I've taken everything about me and taken care of it.
Exactly.
So now I'm showing up to love you, just
Right.
as a reflection of how I love myself. Not, hey, I put all this work into me. I sure hope it's good enough and you like it. Big secret. When I show up, I'm not really caring. I know this sounds mean. If you individually like me, I'm showing up to reflect what I am.
Yep.
Because I like me so much. I've already just assumed you do adore me. If you don't, that's fine. You didn't get the memo. It's okay. You're a grumpy bear. That's fine. But I like what I am and the work I put into me so much that your reaction is not important.
Exactly.
I've had people who I went to this party one time and I heard someone behind me be like, oh, I cannot stand Leta. 30 seconds to a minute later, when other people were reacting to my outfit, by the way, it was a princess party and everyone had put tons of work into their outfits. And I had taken the muumuu my mother was wearing when I was a child, stuffed a pillow up in it, and called myself Moana after too many luau's. And she was irritated because I had the gall to show up with 30 seconds of effort into my outfit. It was at least 3 minutes. And act like I was cool. But when I showed up and the CEO of the company was like, I love it, Leta, it's so great. And everybody went, yes, we love Leta. And I ended up getting an award. I heard her be like, I just always love you, Leta. I'm like, She was asking, it wasn't really about me. It was about her being only willing to like things if everyone else liked them.
Right.
And we show up so much in life being like, is everyone else okay with this? Everyone else okay? How's everyone else feeling about this?
Yeah.
That's why it's the secret. I already like me regardless of that. And if you don't like me, I'm like, oh, I'm not for everyone. It's okay. And I do create either a love or a hate feeling for people. People are usually not neutral about confident people or powerful people or happy.
It's true. Yeah. And I think it's because I think a lot of the reason that is because like you said, that jealous feeling that like, I want to be like that, but I don't know how to be like that. So I'd rather despise it. But then you have other people are like, I want to be like that. How did you do that? So you have those two different levels.
Same feeling in a sense, but how do you respond to that feeling? I am not someone who's typically jealous of other people. And we mentioned earlier, like when people are competing with me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Go win. Because I'm running my own race.
Right.
I'm doing my own thing. I walked away from a $936,000 contract 2 years ago. And people are like, why? And I'm like, if you know me for 3 minutes, I think that's obvious. $936,000 that would have necessitated me being on the road 6 days a week. Alicia, why did I turn it down?
Because you got family.
Boom.
Family's more important.
Right. I like my people.
Exactly.
I also like me. I don't want to be on the road that much. And just because I could
doesn't mean you should.
Like, dang, either you and I are so smart and so in sync, but I know that those watching this, these same kind of struggles,
they do.
People are impressed by I walked away from almost $1 million contract, but there are things in individuals' lives that they've had to walk away from. The guy that flirted with you, the anger that, somebody said something and you had the, you have a good day, ma'am. Right? We all have different things we have to walk away from. And I'm not any different than when nobody knew who I was to now that Facebook sends me, you're an influencer. Do you want to sell your list to people? I'm like, those are my friends. Every single Facebook friend I have, I've met. People come to me and they're like, haven't met me. I'm like, if we're not connected by something, you can, I don't, why would I want a million followers? Yeah,
Right.
I'm like, because I'm not trying to get all of this influence, because I'm really only trying to reflect more of what I've been given through Jesus, because I believe that's my purpose as a person on the planet. If that's to 10 people, 100 people, or several thousand people, I'm to reflect the goodness that God has given me. And money and value and all of that are just side effects of the tree of awesome.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah, they're just little apples on the tree.
Yes.
But you have to get the roots, and people will come to me, and I'm sure they do the same thing with you, Alicia, and they're like, how do I become like you? And you start talking about this backroom, dark, nitty-gritty work that you're doing that has no applause, and they're like, no, how can I be on stage?
Exactly.
And I'm like,
you're like,
well, there's this back room, no one sees, no one applauds work, and they're like, no, but I want to be on stage. You're like not hearing it. This out here that you all like what I'm saying when I'm on a stage is just a perk. If I'm not delivering truth and value to my conversation with my kid, then how dare I ever think that I could do that out there and sustain it?
Exactly.
Because those little titty interactions are way more important than getting applause of a few thousand people.
Right.
Because if I screw this up, that's what I'm really accountable for. But that's just a reflection of how I'm taking care of me.
Yep.
And I'm never going to do all of that perfectly. And so we got to shift our expectations, because we are looking at what we see. Like if people see you and I when we're in the public eye, and they think that's how we show up in the morning. Guys, I had to get my mindset before I showed up for Alicia, right? I had to put makeup on.
Same thing. Yeah.
I couldn't just fling dirt in my face.
Well, you could have, but
that's when I'm on The Chosen. And even for that, like, you guys, I'm 47 years old. I was in a wheelchair 13 years ago. Do you think standing on set for all those hours was tiring? Right? And there's these kids that are like, this one kid said to me, I'm old enough to be his mom. He's like, why are you so energetic all day long? And I'm like, I just choose to be. I mean, a year ago, my oxygen was at 90. And my doctor apologized to me and said, I didn't realize, because you seem so energetic. And I'm like, personality? Hell, they're
right. They're not the same.
I have a habit of showing up the way I show up.
And
when I can't show up that way, when my kids were little, I was like, today's a Dora day. And did some self-care. And if all I did was be nice and make dinner, that was a good day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have days like that. Today.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, scheduled me too deep, I get fired for the day. And I have to, right?
Mama ain't here today.
Yeah, the expectations, because seriously, isn't it important that I teach my children how to deal with life? All those dirty feelings. I've buried a child. I wanted to stay in bed indefinitely. Look, I still want to curl up in a ball that I lost my child. But I created something beautiful. What do I really want? Someday, my son Nathaniel, who's now turning 18 this month, which I find to be incredibly rude because he's becoming a man person. But someday my son and my daughter Elsa will be holding their firstborn child. And they will realize what being a parent, just that little moment that if you adopt or create your child, there is this moment that you realize this little human that you did not know 5 minutes before, or did we? Right? That little human, you would stand in front of a train for them. Right? It's the most crazy, amazing, magical feeling. And the good news is when you get the next kid, it's the same thing. I always worried, like, Will I like the next one as much? You know? Yes.
Do I still have enough love for this one too?
Yeah. Someday my children, and I've envisioned this. I
Mm-hmm.
see my son with a little bit more hair, a little bit more brawn, my daughter with a little bit more height, right? I've seen them holding their children. I have the whole scene in my mind. Holding their firstborn child, and they realize that I said goodbye. And they look back at their childhood and they go, it was happy. And they look at me and they go, how? How did you do that? How did you make this life so great, Mom? And I'm like, because I loved you just as much as I loved Caitlin. So every decision from that point that my daughter died till this point
Mm-hmm.
has really, in a sense, been already mapped out. So that first day after my daughter died, and my local church was like, okay, we're bringing you food. Well, actually, after the funeral. That Sunday night, they're like, okay, we're bringing you food. And I said, no. And I said, well, you're in a wheelchair. And I was like, yeah, a lot of people in a wheelchair and they don't have their church bring them food every week. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, we're going to figure it out. And I know new normal is like a triggering word, but my life was forever altered.
Mm-hmm.
And our lives are forever altered by this cumulative trauma that we have had. I mean, I used to say that the government had no ability to affect my daily life, evidently, because I'm wearing a mask and I'm perfectly healthy and have been tested 5 times in the last 3 weeks, and I still have to wear a mask, right? You know, it's just, right? We've had a cumulative trauma.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm totally willing to wear a mask just to be nice to other people. So I'm not anti-mask or whatever. But my point is the government can affect our daily life. We have had a trauma. Things are not going to be exactly as they were because we are not exactly as we were. The one thing about life is things are always changing.
Always changing. Yeah.
So I decided my new normal, I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but it did not look like me being the victim of my neighborhood. It did not look like me getting to put out the Caitlin card and say, look, I buried a kid. You have to do this for me and you have to do that for me. Because I met this lady who's like, I know the moment people stop praying for me. And I was like, and there was this kind of like, whoa. Now, absolutely, I believe in holding people up in prayer. And there's some science about this. Anyone doubts me, I can send you a podcast because, you know, I love my podcasts, about a man that's a doctor that said that it's malpractice for doctors not to encourage their patients to pray, right? So I absolutely believe in holding people up in prayer, but it is not the responsibility of other people to maintain my self-esteem, my physical well-being, my emotional and mental state, or to help me to grieve through something that they can never fix, the death of my kid.
Mm-hmm.
It is through dealing with my dirty, unpleasant, bad feelings, because I say that like that because there are no bad feelings, just like there are no good people because nobody's perfect all day long except for Jesus, right?
Right.
So I'm like, well, I didn't mean to. I'm a good person. I don't care. You're being a snot. Back away, right? I had someone that was like saying mean things about my dead kid. And I'm like, we're done. She's like, well, I'm a good person. I'm like, okay, but you're not really good at dealing with dead babies. So we are no longer hanging, right? But if I went and like, here, tell me more about your feelings, I'm allowing toxicness. We get to create these boundaries within ourselves and everyone around us. And these negative feelings that we avoid because they're so unpleasant is where our greatness gets root.
Yes.
Well, if you guys have been hearing me talk about my kids, you're like, holy Hannah, this cheerful lady buried a kid. You saw that emotion right there. Again, that's why I can cry on cue for the chosen. I told them all I have to think about Jesus and my baby, right? I didn't tell them why, but I could do it. Because it is right there all the time. Those feelings, I can tap any of them. But you know what I choose to tap the most? The one that shares the light. The gratitude. Why I'm doing it.
Well, and that gratitude, right? Well, and tapping that gratitude and having that compassion and the empathy, because you've been through it, allows you to step into that confidence, allows you to step into that authenticity.
Because they are the yin and yang.
Yes.
The light and the dark exist. I know great pain, so I know great joy. I believe, like I say in this book, this is not just a shameless pledge. This is me as a child. That's me as a child. That tape, okay, wait, right there. That is not photoshopped. They told me to shut up. Dead eyes. That's where I was. I believe whatever darkness we are exposed to, we are entitled, and I do not use that word lightly. We usually hear entitlements of government should give me, free student loans. You little privileged person, you got to go to college, right? No, entitled, God-given entitled to the equal light.
Mm-hmm.
If you've had terrible, hard things happen in your life, that is your confidence. That is what will not, from the greatest goal that I can imagine, standing in front of God and being like, no, I went through that. You let me in. 2, I worked hard on this test. So I'm going to sleep right, eat the food I need so that I can perform on this test well. These are all things that we do. Sometimes we sabotage by being, oh, I can't, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Everyone who has ever lived except for Jesus Christ is just a person. Alicia and I are just people who are killing it in our lives because we've decided that the darkness and the hurt and the pain that we carry with us is a foundation, is the yin to our yang. And I don't try to run from it. I hold it up there and I say, if I can do this, if I can bury my daughter with grace and dignity, I have never lived better than I did for those 54 days. If I can do that, you tell me no in a business meeting? Okay. If I can live up to the light of that, then you're not going to compromise my integrity.
Exactly.
I don't need you to like me. Do you know what I've been through? I don't have to tell you that because I know it.
Right.
I have the joy because of what I do for a living to get to share some of this, but everyone you've ever met, and I love people. I've met people that look like, the CEO of, whatever, who've been homeless. Grandpa Les, we just adopted him. He is like this Western cowboy guy. And he's helping my daughter learn how to teach her how to gut a fish, right?
That's funny.
I mean, this guy is so adorable. I'm trying to get him on video. And he just tells my daughter, I don't care what they tell you, but there's nothing out there, because I've done it all, that isn't worth listening to God. I wish that I'd known that younger. And I'm like, you're Grandpa Les now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyone who's going to tell my kids that message, your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tattooed, hate, love. I mean, like, where'd you get that? Chicago South Side? I'm like, stories just written all over this man. But our lives, our reflection, you're sharing your story. I'm a victim or I'm a conqueror. And I don't like to, victim's a phase, right? And we can stay there as long as we want. Yep, I could, for the rest of my life, be given the Caitlin card. She buried a kid. Mm-hmm. For the rest of my life, I could have people pity me. But instead, if you know that or not, I get to put out that light. Because I know what I can walk through. So take everything bad that's happened to you, change your expectation of how it's supposed to feel, and create that as the roots, as the deep, and create this trajectory of where you want to go, and create little habits every day around that. And your confidence is going to be a side effect. It'll just happen.
Mm-hmm.
It
doesn't have to be a conscious thought. It just becomes a part of you because you're stepping into authenticity.
Absolutely. And people do not mind confident people. They mind egocentric people.
Yes.
The difference is I've already taken care of me so I can show up for you.
Right.
I
Love
don't
it.
need you to take care of me.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? But if you want to be my friend, that's cool. You want to say nice things to me, I like it. But I have filled me full of so much positivity. I'm just like,
well, and you've done so much healing. I mean, that going through those types of experiences requires radical self-healing. And that's only through the atonement of Christ that gets done. And with that healing,
I just need everyone to pause and go, amen.
That's
because
right.
that is what I do for a living. I had an assistant one day who was not a woman of faith. And she looked at me and she goes, so basically what you really do is just teach about Jesus. And I was like, yep.
It's my secret.
Yeah. And Alicia just boldly said that on her platform, right? Mm-hmm. And I like to be with people that I know love Jesus. We don't have to believe, ironically, the same. We do. We happen to have, go to the same church, right? I think we do.
Yeah, we do.
I'm like, yeah, we did. It doesn't even matter to me, because you can just see when people are putting principles of truth, not using systems, but principles of truth to use a system that they can follow.
Right.
You guys get the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And to creating a foundation in their lives that cannot be taken from them.
Mm-mm.
And then business and the right thing to say at the right time and all of that stuff just begins to flow.
It does.
Yeah. And
I totally am a witness to that.
Yeah. And people are like, dang, you're so awesome. You're like, well, so happens that I am. Right? So Alicia, tell me some of the questions that came up, because I think we just kind of like,
we're getting close to time. That's okay. You know what? There's one specific question that I'm looking over them and I'm going, okay, there's one particular one. Her name is Melissa. And she wrote a question of saying, why is it not okay to just give all of my time and resources to other people? Why do I have to take care of myself? Because I don't care about myself. I care about loving other people. And I love that, because that's where I used to be many years ago before I started down this train of, you know what, I don't matter. I don't matter. I'll go do this. I'll go do this and do this until I burned out.
The irony is that you're getting a lot of outside validation onto a rotting core. Right?
Oh, I love that. That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't matter, but you do. I know it's fine, but you do. And you don't realize, I don't think most people who are doing this are realizing how much they really do need that outside validation. Mm-hmm. And that, oh, I've lost myself. I hate that. You've created little humans and you've lost yourself. No, you're not taking care of you now. And you might not have known who you were before you made the humans. That's not on them. But other people in your life enhance it. They don't take away.
Right.
Right? That's a lie. Mm-hmm. And, what I preach, as a makeup artist, because I would take women to the mirror and I realized that if I just put their makeup on, but they didn't realize their beauty, that makeup was just a mask.
Right.
So I'm always doing that. That's where all my content came from, is 30 years of doing that. Right. And I've seen women that were the perfect woman, as far as what society put. And I'm a big boned woman. I'm incredibly good looking, but they're never going to ask me to be a model unless it's a plus size. Right. I'm sexy, but I am not that woman. And here I am walking the room with more confidence. It's because I'm not comparing myself to other people. As long as I did, I was at a point where I was suicidal, because I wanted to be my petite blonde little sister. And everyone's like, she's gorgeous and she's beautiful. And guess what? We're both pretty. Because we get caught up in this comparison game and we need this outside validation. And self-care is not taking a bubble bath. Self-care, our brains are 83% negative. And there's all these reasons why they say that. But in the Bible, because we're talking about atonement, so we can just say where we're getting some of the stuff from. The Bible talks about the natural man. Mm-hmm. Because the natural state of mankind, and Chicky Babes, that's us, is negativity. They say it's to keep us safe from, getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or walking off the cliff or whatever. No, I think it's because God wanted us to overcome the natural man, because that is where the confidence to stand in front of God. You guys get this? You guys get this, right? The confidence to stand in front of God. That's my ultimate trajectory. That's my ultimate goal, is that when I see that awesome humility of what I am not and what he is, that I'll go, wait, your promises were enough. My belief in the atonement of Jesus Christ, my advocate, my brother, is enough, that I will stand there in confidence. Because there is no greater gift, right? That natural man wants us to stay in this negative, poopy abyss. And
wants
we
to
have
hide.
to, right. We have to choose to overcome that. And having boundaries, if you want, people are like, well, what boundaries should I create? I always want to be like, well, what books do you like to read? And they're like, Twilight. Yeah, and I'm like, well, there's some other books I'd like to recommend. Yeah, I'd like you to buy mine. But the Bible, that's a good one. I also love the Book of Mormon. There's all these different stories of how people were like, there was this moment in the scriptures in the Book of Mormon where this man's trying to bribe this other man to deny Christ, and basically offers him an anesthesiologist income to do it. And this would be debt-free. He didn't have to pay for to be a doctor, right? Debt-free anesthesiologist income if he would say, yes, Christ is poopy. And you know what his reaction is? Okay, now I was raised to not say anything nice. You can't say something. Don't say anything. You can't say something nice. Well, I'm talking about sexual abuse here. No, don't touch my body. Not to say. So we never sacrifice truth to kindness. Exactly. I'm all about being kind, but not at the cost of truth. You can say the truth kindly. If needed, you need to say it boldly, right? So this man is trying to be bribed just to say 3 little words: I deny the Christ. And he doesn't turn to him and say, well, I think that's kind of not, you're triggering me. No, he turns to him and says, oh, you child of hell, that seeketh to pervert the ways of the Lord. That was like this boom to me as a 15-year-old kid. What? Hinting's not the way of the Lord? We need to be very clear. His boundary was being violated, and he said, and he called it like it was. If Satan can make you think that you are not worthy of your own personal boundaries and space, of your own value and the time you need to feel God in your life, because you can feel it doing the dishes and laundry. You can feel it in a wheelchair. I've done it, and I'm nothing special, and I'm not perfect. I don't say my prayers and read my scriptures and do all the things I should do every day. I try, but I'm just trying. And that's good enough for great miracles. That's good enough for great light in your life. Is trying. That is the nature of humanness, is trying, right?
Choosing again and again and again and again.
And then a lot of these things become a habit. Like for me, prayer is a habit. Scripture reading is a habit I'm always working on.
I love that.
Right? And sometimes it's a verse, because I have that habit of picking them up, and these cell phones make it incredibly easy. But, because I created that habit of turning on something spiritual in the morning, well, at least I'm getting something. But I get more when I actually get into it, right? But I'm creating these habits to kind of nudge me in the right direction. And I'm not perfect. But if Satan can make you, talking to you, the lady watching this, if he can make you think that you are not enough and comparing yourself to other people, he doesn't have to get you to follow the path of Satan. He just has to get you to doubt you. To doubt your own power. I think of the girl that I was, and I can see Alicia doing the like if we were Baptists, we'd be like this, right?
Amen,
sister, right? Anyone you've ever respected, my bet is that they were once in a very dark place, and that they know the darkness well. And what you're looking at is really just the reflection of the light they've chosen to follow.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
I don't doubt me, not because I'm great, but because I know I was made to be a daughter of God.
Yes.
And so I'm not, oh, what about my chin, or what about this? That was not my purpose. You all notice my light and my, because I've just stopped doubting that I am entitled to that light. Right? And so if you stop anything you think about, you will believe. That is the chemistry of our brain. Our brains are naturally negative. So you're simply like, oh, I can't take care of me. What you're teaching your daughter is that she is not of worth. What you're teaching your son is to marry someone who doesn't take care of herself. And I've talked to a lot of these girls and they're like, well, my mom never did anything for herself. And I just don't really want to get married, or I really don't want to have kids. You think? Where my daughter wants to do everything I do plus, because she's seeing me do it. Because the greatest gift we can give our kids is how to help them deal with the mess of life, because life will be messy.
It is.
Life will be
so
hard.
Messy. It is.
Right?
You know, I just want to interject a really quick story here, because that reminded me of my daughter. I got a divorce a few years ago, and my daughter was so, I'm never getting married. I'm never getting married. I'm never going to have kids. I'm never going to get married. And it's been incredible, because as I have cleaned all of that yuckiness, that poopiness that I had from that first relationship of abuse and all that kind of stuff, and taught my children how to clean it up too along the way. And now I'm married to a man that just not only adores me, but adores them for the first time in their entire life. They're being adored by somebody who isn't their natural father, but loves them more than they've ever been loved by a father before. And my daughter just came to me, I don't know, about a week ago. She's like, Mom, do you think I'll make a good bride? I was like, oh, she just said something that she hasn't said in a long time. And I was so excited, because just like you said, as we learn, as we learn how to take care of ourselves, we teach our children how to be taken care of. And that includes by the people that we marry, and the people that we interact with, and the people that we
choose, not choosing that circle of crazy. And you I want to just go in there a little bit deeper. You're not blaming yourself for why did I marry this man? I'm sure you did that at one point, but you just moved beyond it. Once we realize the mess, it's not like, who's supposed to clean this up? What is this doing here? Why is there this mess here?
Exactly.
Right? I talk a lot about poop in my stuff, right? You just went, oh, once you realize that, you cleaned up that poop mess.
Yes, I took accountability for my crap. Exactly.
Because we all
and poop. I still do. I still clean it. I still take care of my crap on a daily basis. And
you're not smearing it.
No.
Being like, I ruined my children.
I'm not blaming you
always
or
get
you.
Learn.
Right.
Yeah. And if somebody out there is in that place, we're telling you it's better here.
Yes.
Right? I've had times where I've been a victim, but I don't live there. I have the right. I could have called that. Any of us could.
Right.
Any of us could. But it is a choice given to us by the chemistry of our brain and our soul to choose to be more than our circumstances.
Yes. That is so true. And we really do get to wrap this up, because I get another appointment. So
oh, dang it. Okay, so I'm just
I know we could go forever, but
we can only give to others that of which we possess.
Exactly.
If you think about confidence, happiness, spirituality, anything you want your children to have, the little girl that you were, I cannot go back and fix those things for little Leta. But you know what I do get to give her? That her story ends awesome.
Yes. And you get to give her grace and love and compassion and
so
forgiveness.
Your first husband, people that I could, we have, right? They couldn't love the way we needed because they did not have healthy self-care.
Yes.
So to Melissa, who's asking, I just want to take care of other people. That's great. But eventually you will find your core gone.
Yes.
And that you're bitter, not because of what other people did, but what you chose to do. So creating habits of true self-care, true self-love through the habits you create in your life, you can start to give love in a very genuine and real way. that is more valuable than if you'd always been good at it.
Yes, it's true. Very, very true. Well, Leta, thank you so much for joining us today. And then did you have an offer for everybody?
Yes, I am actually going to do my virtual confidence workshops, and we break down some of this stuff here. And, you know, let's go ahead and do 50% off for people. I normally offer them at 100. I think I might do it at 70 for the online, just because it's not as much fun for everybody not being live, you know? So let's go ahead and do it whatever price I do.
Okay.
Just reach out to me and be like, I was on Alicia's thing, and we'll get you hooked up at 50% off for my virtual.
And if you want to send me your email and all that kind of stuff, then I'll post that when we post this
I'm
video.
super easy to find. Leta Greene.
Oh, Leta, you've been amazing. And I love your inspiration, your stories, your laughter. And I just love you. You're just so much fun.
Thank you for letting me actually do this in a conversational way. Because I'm like, if I have to just talk to a camera for hours again, any more of that, I don't love it. I love interaction. I love the people.
I'm right there with you, you.
And my virtual workshops, I'm going to limit to 8 people so I can actually have the interaction. So it'll be like what you and I have done today. But
awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you again. And we will see you guys on the other side.
Okay. Bye.